Still got it. Hello YouTube, welcome to another video. Not too sure what we're going to be doing today yet. I've been playing around with the MR2 just as I've arrived. I might swap the engine on the MR2s this weekend. That's the plan, that's perhaps what we're going to do. As you might be able to hear, it's got a little bit of a misfire. And it didn't when it first started up, when it was stone cold and it started up, no misfire, but as it's got a little bit warmer, it's coming from cylinder 1 apparently, the code reader says. So I want to see what that is first. Now the motor in this, despite it being from the same age, the oil burning era, does seem a bit healthier. But we'll start with the coil pack. So I'll just take one of these off. I've still got the code on the black car for misfire on cylinder 1. So we'll take coil pack off here, put it on cylinder 1, see if it still misfires. Did you see that drip?
And another one.
What is that? That is water, I think. Dirty water. There you go. See the water? Christ. I thought this little panel was supposed to stop that, but the fact that the engine's got no valve cover on, maybe it's the top cover that protects all that from water running down here. But that's not ideal, is it? So the coil pack that we're putting in is a bit wet in that. Right, there's my old coil pack. So I've got the one on from the Blue Spider. Now let's see if it misfires. It's still definitely very smoky. The misfire engine light's gone, or the code's gone from the ECU. Yeah, she's not good. Right, for comparison, let's go and see what that blue one's saying, because there's no point taking it if it's exactly the same, is it? Right, we're getting a bit technical now. This car, I need to rev it up to see if it blue smokes, you know, see what the smoke's like when I give it a clear through. But there's no MAF on the car, which means that when I rev it, it sounds like this. So yeah, that's far from ideal. It does look a lot less smoky though, even just idling this one. Now I'm not too sure what the mileage difference is on these engines, because that's not the original engine from that car. And I think this has done about 120k maybe? Oh, this car's only done 94k. She's a minter. This is the MAF that the car should have on it, but it doesn't. That should fix it. Lovely. One MAF looking device there, look. Well, I'm hoping now that I've got the top lid of the airbox on and the elbow and the MAF in. This technology must be so far advanced that just having the MAF connected isn't good enough, and it actually wants to read it from the throttle body. I don't know, surely not, Toyota. My wires aren't touching, they're close, but they're not touching, so let's try that again. Seems a lot cleaner to me. Okay, decision made. We're going to swap the engines. Let's get the motor out of the blue one and put it in the black one. How should we approach this? I'd like to have this still rolling, so I want to make sure the shell's still rolling, so we're not just going to pull the back off, we're going to pull the engine out of it, and then I can roll it back outside and let it live there. Maybe one day it'll be a case swap. Probably definitely not. We're going to be keeping this as a spare regardless, but I do want the engine out of it. So I think I'll start on this one, because obviously this is the best one, it's all together, it's all nice. Let's ruin that. Let's get the motor out, and swap it into that one. If I keep the cars where they are now, I can probably have a nice little pile of mess here, I reckon. Anyway, let's start. This is still running, it's still purring, lovely. Okay, this is broken already. I don't know. It's fucking... It's just pulling the airbox off. I managed to give myself a fucking... Managed to give myself a big coolant leak. Can you see that? Fuck's sake. So, emergency now to drain the coolant, which is at the front. Right, we've made progress, that's for sure. Now I'm going to have to change my plan of attack slightly, because I thought I could pull the motor out of the top, but I've had a quick look online and it seems that no one does it that way. Maybe it's not possible, but everyone recommends pulling it from the bottom. So that's a new challenge, because we're on the floor and we might as well be on the ramp. So I'm going to drop this one off the axle stands. It's not at all, it's fluids drained. It has something to do with gearbox oil on both, but just reminded myself that I put some Redline gearbox oil in this. Quite annoyed. I've also got a new clutch in here as well. I put a competition clutch in this car because I heard the original ones overheat, so we need to take the clutch off this engine as well. But let's get this on the ramp and then make a plan of getting it out. Found some, well, I say I found some. I've just shifted the E46 over on these little dollies, so I might try and incorporate them with pulling it out of the bottom, because I've got nothing else really apart from tyres. I could stick it on tyres, but so now. So get this on the ramp and then we'll make a plan of attack from the ramp. It's already pretty stripped, you know, got wiring obviously to get off and shit like that. Now a lot of people say to pull the wiring out with the motor, which might give us a little problem. If we're going to have the same loom on the other side, we might have to rewire the MAF wiring. Now, it all depends on whether it's going to be easier to rewire the MAF wiring, or is it going to be easier to switch the loom over. It's probably going to be easier to just rejoin for those 5 wires, which I could have left, but never mind. Right, let's get this over there and start pulling it. Right, I'm going to give you a quick update because things aren't going quite as smoothly as what I thought they would. I've turned the microphone right up, so hopefully you can hear me over all the noise that's going on. Some geezer over here is sanding his Nissan down, and it's fucking noisy because he's using air compressor. Why are you using air Well, because I've got air tools, you see. Taking the fucking piss, man. Yeah, you just carry on, lad. Not a care in the world. Anyway, so if you can hear me, which I hope you can just about. So I've just finished getting the drive shafts off, but I had a great pain in the arse with it. I had to cut off the half shaft with my reciprocating saw. That should go there, so can't reuse that obviously. Luckily I've got a spare, but there was one bolt, and it was the top bolt. I think it was this one here, and you can't get to it because the inner CV of the drive shaft's in the way. So I tried all the different assortment of spanners and bendy spanners and stuff like that, and then I ended up rounding the bolt slightly. Once I got all this away, I could get a socket on it square and I could get it off with the socket, so it wasn't that badly rounded. It was just badly rounded enough. There's the bolt. It was just badly rounded enough that gave me a real bad time. And I spent about half an hour perhaps trying to get this one bolt out before I thought, right, we've got another one of these, we can just cut it off. So now the drive shafts are out, I can put the suspension just about back together so the car can roll. Now I'm going to look at getting the actual engine out, so I need to unplug the fuel and the engine mounts and, you know, all that engine-y stuff. Right, as you can tell from the mess, we're nearly there. I've got all the engine mounts off, and I've got the engine sat on those dollies that I may or may not have showed you earlier. I can't remember if I did or not. But I've got some dollies on. I have to take the back wheels off to get it low enough, but it's sat on there now. So hopefully it's just going to be a case of bringing the ramp up and then the engine will stay on the floor. But we don't know. Got spectators today. What are you up to? Oh, nice.
Fishing sim.
Right, first attempt was a big failure. You need to take the exhaust manifold off, otherwise it gets stuck between the subframe So you would be able to get it out with the exhaust manifold still on, probably, if you were taking the subframe off as well, but we're not doing that. Right, one engine removes. This definitely looks a little bit better. I don't mind all the metal filings and that. That was just from when I had to drill out some of the studs, or perhaps when I had to chop off the half shaft. Yeah, it's not been the easiest one. This is the first time I've removed an engine from one of these altogether, but it was a bit of a pain in the arse. Nothing too strenuous. I think we've took about, oh god, longer than what I thought. Probably about 3.5, 4 hours. That's using a ramp as well. But never mind. Right, I need to get this one back together-ish and get it off the ramp and back outside and cart this somewhere nice. Unfortunately we can't just put the box and engine in just like this, because we need to take it apart and put my clutch in, so that'll be tomorrow's job. If you're curious what tools you might need to get this off, just basically all of them. Just bring the box over, and these are the belts, well, the belt should we say, that are on the car. Should get a few races out of that at least, I reckon. This is the last time this engine will ever run, ever. You still got it. Okay, so we've got the black one on the ramp, the one ZZ from the blue one's just there. I've got rid of the blue one, it's now around the back. I've got most of the bits off it that I think I need. Now, I did want to take some of the rear handbrake things off of it. You might have heard me say in a previous video, but that was all gone. It was just not there. So I guess the owner of the blue MR2 had the same idea as me with the black one. Just got rid of it, but now I have to put it on the black one. This needs a handbrake, but that's not its biggest issue at the minute. The engine's obviously not healthy at all, but we've got one that is a bit healthier-ish. We're going to have to do some work to this before we put it in. I'm not going to rush this. I was thinking of rushing it all and trying to get it all done this weekend, but that engine needs some love first. We may as well do a few jobs to it. I've just also noticed this plug on the alternator wiring has come out. So the blue car didn't have power steering, and that might have been why. Maybe it wasn't getting charged by the alternator. I don't know. But we're up here for about another hour or so I'm going to see what I can get done on here. I want to at least get all the fluids out, get everything drained, and start taking stuff out. But we might not get it out today. We'll see how much we can get done in an hour. 30 quid draining away. Right, I think it's time to put a plug in it there. It's getting quite late. We've got quite a lot done today. Still a bit of a mess, and on the black one now I've got the drive shafts out, I've got the suspension back on, everything's drained, the coolant, the gearbox oil and the engine oil. All that's left to do now is to get the wiring unclipped and sent through, undo a couple of the bits with the wiring that I've made a bit of a mess of. And tomorrow, once it's out, or you know, we'll start by getting it out of course, and then we can have a look at comparing, swapping bits over. We need to fix that wiring as well on the alternator, and perhaps, I don't know if I'm going to swap the looms yet, or if I'm just going to fix those two plugs, because we've got the MAF plug and then we've got the alternator plug that needs attention. So yeah, there's still plenty to do, but for today I think that's enough. Some serious business going on here. We can't get too close to it because he does bite. But right, left. Fucking hell. Right, so thanks for your time today. I hope you've enjoyed watching. We'll come back tomorrow and get this sorted out, so that'll be the next video. More MR2 stuff, but we're going in the right direction now. That engine, there was no point even. I would have raced on it, or I would have done at least a track day on it. That was the plan. I knew it was bad, but I thought, you know, we'll take it to track and see how it is. But now it looks like we're not probably going to have that time to test either. I'm not sure if the track days are going to come in time that we're going to be able to test before the racing starts. Maybe the racing and the track days are going to start at the same time. So let's just make sure we can have the best MR2 we can. So we'll carry on tomorrow, getting the engine out, and we'll start tidying that one up. I need to say goodbye again, but I've already said it.
Well, friendly and have an outro.
You want me to have an outro? Yeah. What, like Adam LZ with the music? Yeah. I'll get some good music first.
When you said,
that should fix it.